Hi, out in the garage today, working on a RZR 2017 1000, really nice, riding comfortable RZR. But we got a loose wheel bearing going bad. All the above, bearing going bad that's loose. Yeah. Anyway, so the tire, you can tell it's going out because you can hear some clunking and popping back here. And then also when it's just sitting, there's a little cant to the rear wheel. Yeah, and what's going on is this bearing, you might be able to see it in there. Now I can't put much pressure on it because I got one arm, but, well, I have two arms. Just one of them is only useful right now. No, the other one's useful. It's running the camera. Can't see that. Anyway, all the bushings and everything are good. You know, with both hands on it, shaking it hard, you can see movement inside the carrier with the axle and the bearing. The carrier is staying stationary, and the tire, when it's sitting, not jacked up, sitting on flat ground, it's got a little, oh, I can't even run my arm today. It's got a little whoop-de-doo, it's got a little cant to it, so. Anyway, let's get after it. Okay, I just wanted to point this out. Sometimes, when you're hearing a lot of clicking in the drivetrain, a lot of times it's these brake pads. As the rotor goes around, it'll kind of tend to grab these. And you can always tell because you put slight pressure on the brakes and that clicking noise goes away. But if you guys want to know what a lot of that clicking noises are, it's that right there. That, driving around slow, turning, that'll drive you nuts sometimes. You can embed these in silicone and get them to quit, but they tend to loosen up after a while. But I will, you know, a lot of times bed these in a little bit of a silicone, and then that'll help keep them from Okay, now that we got our carrier out, go over to our press. Just set this here for a second. Next thing I need to do is get this snap ring out of there. So you got to have some good heavy duty snap ring pliers. And I might shoot just a little bit of penetrating fluid on that. That will help us. Every little bit helps. So then, get our little clamps in our hole here. This sometimes is the hardest part of the whole thing, is getting this ring off. You gotta hold it and squeeze it. We'll get it. And that bearing is partially in our road. There we go. Aha! That wasn't too bad. I've had some of that. Sometimes that'll go sideways. That we can set in here. Hey, that'll work. No? Well, let's flip it over. Let's do that. I think that bearing, that'll work. All right, reset. Go there. Get centered a little bit. Put that piece back up there. Now we're ready to rock and roll. Yeah, that feels better. Maybe wedging things together. We'll take quite a bit of pressure, but that popping is it. That bearing moving out of that carrier. Success! Nice. So now we're going to clean this up a little bit. And we'll set it on the stove and we'll warm this carrier up. In the meantime, I'll put the bearing in the freezer and it'll just help our assembly go really good. Okay, and all I do to clean this up is I put a little bit of penetrating oil in here. And this one's a little used, but a red Scotch-Brite pad, oh my gosh, works wonders. Gets everything nice and clean in there. And then we'll clean this little groove out. And then we'll clean up our snap ring. Set this on the stove, Pull the bearing out of the freezer, bring it back over here, and it actually, we might not even need the press to put it back together. It might just fall right back in on its own, but we'll see. Okay, stick the bearing in the freezer, and we're gonna set this on the stove just for a moment or two. We don't want to get it too hot and melt our bushings. We just want it warm, so be careful about that. Okay, we just took this off the stove and that out of the freezer, and yeah, we're gonna have to press it together, but it hopefully won't go as hard as usual. I think I can sit that. Yeah, that'll sit right there just perfect. And we want that little plate we had. And then that. And we might just put that bushing on there. This should go right together. There we go. That's going to get it crazy. Almost there. Yep, I think we are there. Now, what I'm going to do is set this ring. We cleaned that ring all up. Set this ring in here. Nice. If we can put a little pressure on this, that way it'll hold that so we can get that snap ring on. And then that way, it'll hold everything for us. Aha! Hey, that went pretty nice. Ready for reassembly. Look at that. Yay! Okay, so first off, I have a little bit of this copper anti-seize, which I like to put on this axle here, which I'm going to clean that up just a little bit. Okay, yep, you want to clean up this surface too, and also apply this copper coat. The silver hardens and gets kind of chunky. It doesn't work as good. The copper coat never fully dries out. It always stays a little gooey, which is good. Anyway. Ugh. There we go. Get the washer on here. Now this washer, it has a cone shape to it, and the dome part you want sticking towards you. And this goes on here like so. Just snapping that up. I'm doing just the bottom and leaving it like that because it's easier to put this caliper on. Now I could put some silicone on these brake pads and embed them a little bit so that they don't sit there and rattle. So I don't know if you can see that, but we want to put a little bit of silicone where these pistons touch the pad. Probably a little more than that. Kind of. The only thing we're doing is we are attempting to just kind of keep these things from rattling in place. Right here in the middle. On the sides. Just put enough Loctite on there to cover like 3 or 4 threads. You don't need a whole lot, just a little dab will do you. Oh, that was way too much. Wipe some of that off there. Okay, let's find out the proper torque spec for this nut real quick. Okay, confirmed the torque on this. It's 180 foot-pounds. So, and I got a new cotter key, so let's see if I can even, let's see if I got enough lead in my rear end to do 180. Oh, hey. Oh, just a smidgen. I'm gonna get a bigger flex handle. Bigger flex handle. Oh yeah. We just gotta go a little bit here. If I could. Oh God. Is that enough? Yes, that was enough. Oh, and always torque your lug nuts on these just to make sure, because you can never tell. Anyway, for these, it calls for 120 foot-pounds. So I gotta back this off a little bit for morning. Anyway, 120 foot-pounds. Oh, that's way easier than 180 on there, but yeah. And then that way you're for sure your wheel don't fall off. All right, we're ready to rock and roll. It worked. Good job. All right, thanks for watching.